Welcome back, my witches, my warlocks, and my wizards. Today I'm going to be talking about the first pentacle of the moon. It's pretty on brand for me to not be able to find my pentacle when I have to make this video, but of course that's how the spirits like to work. So anyways, before I talk about the first pentacle of the moon, I wanted to do this quick shameless plug, but I only have a few pentacles left on occult towers. I've attached my own instructions on how I personally work with them and how I recommend you work with them. I've also already consecrated and spoke with the spirits of each pentacle prior to selling them. So before the customer gets them, I work with the spirits and do it how it's supposed to be done so that the customer gets the most ease out of using it, because some pentacles require other pentacles in order to control the spirits of said pentacle. This is not one of them. But yeah, if you guys are looking to learn how to work with the pentacles on your own, there's a lot of information out there online. Of course, I have my own method, but anyways, that being said, let's get into the first pentacle of the moon. The first pentacle of the moon is quite intense, to say the least, and I would not say that about pretty much any of the other pentacles I've worked with. I haven't worked with all of them, so don't think that I've worked with all of them, but I definitely will talk about the ones I have worked with. And the first pentacle of the moon is definitely one that I would say to be cautious of. This is one of the ones that I will take off because I don't like the way it's making me feel, and I'll get into that in a second. So anybody who works with and wears pentacles are subject to be possessed, quote unquote possessed, by the qualities of said planet and spirits of the seal, because every single seal has their own assigned spirits to it. So if you're doing these and you're doing everything right and well protected, you shouldn't be possessed like that, but rather, guided. This should be known because the first pentacle of the moon is definitely one of those pentacles where it will definitely amplify your emotions. So if you are in a vulnerable or emotional place, it can amplify that and actually drive you insane. So one of the warnings I give to people when they're working with this pentacle, which is not bad, but if you're in an emotional or vulnerable place, you might not want to wear this or work with them because it will amplify those emotions, and it can cause you to spiral. Because the moon spirits, or at least the nature and the quality of the moon, I've realized tends to it can drive you crazy. That's why they say lunatic. That's why the word is lunatic, because the etymology luna, from the moon. Me and a few friends, when testing out this pentacle, have definitely cried literally the first day of having the pentacles on after consecration and working with the spirits. I definitely want to make sure that is well known. And I definitely warn people when they get the first pentacle of the moon about that, because I want to make sure that you guys know it's probably coming from this. And if it's not coming from this, you can easily find out by just taking it off. So if you take it off and leave it off for even like 30 minutes to an hour, in my opinion, I think you should leave it off for 2 weeks, especially if you're beginning or starting out, so that you can see how the energy works and how the spirits work, so that you know when they're affecting your life and when they're not, outside of using the pentacles as well. The first pentacle of the moon can drive you insane. It's one of the ones that I think can do that. I think probably all of them can. Like Mercury is another big one that can basically make you go down a rabbit hole. I would call it Mad Hatter's disease, but the first pentacle of the moon in particular has also given me similar effects of, amplifying really intense emotions or putting me through emotional situations. And of course, if you're working with the spirits properly and asking for things properly, you'll avoid those situations. And I've learned a lot on how to work with the spirits of the first pentacle of the moon because of trial and error. And also, that is why I tend to actually work with this specific pentacle when Mercury is debilitated or in retrograde, because this pentacle is also great for removing blockages. So after everything I've told you, you're probably like, why the hell would I want to work with this pentacle? Give me one second. And it's because this pentacle, the original purpose of this pentacle was to unlock doors and open locks, like physical locks. I guess, I don't know how they would do it back then, but from what I read, they would have it on and just say a word and then the door would unlock or open. So what you can use the first pentacle of the moon for, what I use it for, is to unlock doors, well, unlock different opportunities. Basically a road opener, and to bring in new opportunities into my life. I use it to remove blockages, remove obstacles, and bring in and attract new opportunities, new connections, and things of those natures. You can also use the first pentacle of the moon to close doors and close block opportunities. And if you work with them improperly, they will just end up doing that to you. Make sure you work with the spirits properly, because if not, they will definitely give you attitude and they'll screw up your manifestation. It's like when you ask like a genie for a wish, you never really get what you ask for, right? That's their business, is never giving you exactly what you want, but exactly what you ask for. So make sure you ask for the right things. Take your time before you ask and just willy-nilly try to manifest things, because with them you kind of want to be specific with what you want and what you don't want to happen. But yeah, outside of that, the spirits of the moon are very interesting in the fact that they'll like kind of guide you to opportunities and nudge you in certain directions. And because the moon has a pull and magnetism to it, when working with this pentacle, you'll also realize that you attract opportunities, like they kind of just flow to you. And at the same time, you can also bring up old opportunities, and old people from the past will also come up and come back into your life. So the moon spirits, or at least the first pentacle of the moon spirits, they do great at removing blockages and obstacles. They do great at road opening stuff. It's actually, like I said, what I like to use when Mercury is in retrograde and actually affecting my magic, because sometimes Mercury retrograde doesn't affect my magic, but usually when I feel resistance, I'll bring in extra help, or I'll change my way of approaching a spell or an outcome. So yeah, I love to work with this pentacle, but I'm always mindful of the symptoms. There's not really any other pentacle that I've worked with that I tend to recognize or realize, like, holy shit, I got to take this off, I'm too emotional, or like, holy shit, I got to take this off, this is too much. But with the first pentacle of the moon, I have definitely experienced that more than once. And specifically during full moon time, or like as the full moon is ramping, if you are wearing this on your body, I personally feel the energy intensify. So you can actually feel the moon pentacle also kind of like moving with the moon phases. But yeah, you should just be weary of that, cautious of that, in case you are in a vulnerable spot, because this will amplify that. I haven't ever really used them to like improve someone's mental state, because this actually can make people spiral, and I would, prefer to work with other planets to improve people's emotional or mental states, because this one is really intense. So I just want to put that out there for anybody who's, looking to do some things or having questions about it, just because this one in particular can be tricky or problematic, especially if you're not working with the spirits of this pentacle properly, or respecting them or honoring them properly. Keep in mind that if you don't have the senses and you're not able to kind of understand what they're trying to tell you, these spirits are a lot more communicative. So I noticed that they tend to nudge you and influence you more directly than other ones do, like almost like whispering in your ear, or kind of literally pushing you towards certain situations, or putting certain situations and messages in your face on the TV or on the billboards. They do this a lot more than the other spirits of other pentacles, and it's a lot clearer than that. So if you're not like really open psychically or whatever, just pay attention to the signs that they're giving you, because sometimes you ask for stuff, but they might tell you like, look, this is in the way, or you need to do this first, or kind of guide you towards it. But yeah, that's basically it. I usually think that everybody who wears these pentacles or does magic with them, especially if they're actually beginners, they tend to kind of do what the spirits want them to do a lot more easily than other people later on, because people who are just starting out, they don't even know what to look for, so they kind of are easier to guide and drag around in a sense. But people who are more aware, they can tend to like second guess and self-doubt, a lot more, and that can kind of throw off what the spirits are trying to do or guide you to. And then again, on the flip side, some people are totally delusional, so it doesn't matter if the spirits are working with them or telling them something else. They want something to be a certain way, so they're going to try to make it that way. But yeah, all this being said, if you feel too unnecessarily emotional, just take it off. I would say take it off for more than 2 weeks. If if the situation you're in isn't that big of a deal, then yeah, maybe an hour isn't so bad. Like, if it's literally just making you spiral and not feel good, then yeah, just do an hour. But sometimes this can move around your life. Like, if you are in a toxic relationship or a toxic situation, it can kind of antagonize those issues, or antagonize your thoughts to antagonize, or to kind of bring stuff up in that relationship, which will then cause more emotions. So that's why I say to keep it off for 2 weeks if you're kind of in those situations. But aside from that, the best thing that, like, one of the things that I've realized that people love to use when trying to open up their psychic centers and abilities, the pentacles that they like to use, the first pentacle of the moon is one of them. And I actually enjoy the first pentacle of the moon for opening psychic senses as well. I've definitely done that in the past. I've actually done so many psychic enhancement spells that I'm not too sure about the results for this one, because I did mix it up with mine. But I can tell you from experience and from just wearing it alone that it has increased my daydreams, my dreams overall. It has increased my intuition, but of course it also increases my paranoia. You can also use this to help you develop and open your psychic centers, your psychic abilities, and just enhance your intuition. So I'll just leave that little gem of information at that for y'all. Don't forget that they can also assist you in divination if you can put 2 and 2 together. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoy. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know down in the comment section below. And I hope to see you guys again soon.